I'm coming from the Institute for Standardization of Serbia, and I hope not all of the representatives from companies are outside at the exhibition, because part of this presentation is actually dedicated to them, not only to the audience in this room. Anyway, I will tell you something about collaboration between our institute and the international and European, hopefully very soon, European organizations for standardization. You can see on this slide short contents. I will give you some information about our NSB and the way you and all other stakeholders can participate in the international standardization process, as well as what kind of benefits can this participation bring to you, to your business, your companies, and your organizations as well. On this slide, I have taken this picture, which is very interesting to me because it is taken from the ISO's website. On this picture, you can see that ISO, as the biggest developer of international standards, was established in London in 1946. This is interesting because the Institute for Standardization of Serbia is a legal successor of all previous institutional bodies of standardization activities here in Serbia, and you know, in all other countries and in all other times previous in the past, there existed several kinds of institutions dealing with standardization activities here. Now, Institute for Standardization of Serbia is a legal successor of all these, but I guess not all of you know that a group of engineers gathered here in Belgrade more than 80 years ago. That means more than 12 years before the ISO was established. They gathered here. They were, as we know, electrical engineers. They gathered here at the 15th meeting of their standardization activities and realized the need to institutionally in the future develop standards from electrical engineering. At that date, that was somewhere in September 1934, in a country that was called Kingdom of Yugoslavia, which is a little bit funny right now at these moments. We believe that that date was the first date when the standardization activities were established on an institutional level. Later on, when ISO and IC as international organizations were established, we of course became full members of these organizations. What kind of national standardization body would we be if we do not implement standards ourselves? That is why I can say that we are certified according to ISO 9001 and ISO IC 27001. And today we have nearly 200 national technical committees. I think that the experts involved in those, a little bit less than 200 national technical committees, but the experts involved in these committees is around 1,000, I guess. Yeah. This is just a short picture of our structure, because I wanted to draw your attention to two managing bodies of the Institute for Standardization of Serbia, especially the Assembly, which you can see on the top of this picture, and the technical committees, because as I said, I hope that some of the representatives of the companies are not at the exhibition in the halls. I hope that some of them are here, and I wanted them to invite them to participate in the standardization activities of our institute. either as members of our assembly or as experts in our technical committees. Although we have, let's say, quite enough technical committees and quite enough experts, we are a public institution founded by the government of the Republic of Serbia, and we are always open to our stakeholders. So we believe that it is our mission and constant objective to attract and involve as much as possible stakeholders, experts, and companies, organizations, etc., into our activities. We all remember many difficult times for this country, wars and sanctions and everything else, and even in such difficult times, the government of the Republic of Serbia and previous Yugoslavia and everything, all other governments never gave up of our full membership of our institute into international organizations for standardization. That is why we are full member of ISO as of 1950 and full member of IC as of 1953. As you can see, the third International Telecommunication Union, the third international organization, we are not members of it because there is no need. There is so close cooperation between IC and ITU, so there is no need for our government to pay another membership fee on an annual basis. Nevertheless, we are very active in all these international organizations, and we may say that we are ISO and IC in Serbia. We'll see why. Our country, as some of you said, is a candidate member for membership into European Union. That is why our strategic goal is to become also a full member of European organizations for standardization. At this very moment, ISS is affiliate member to CEN as of 2008 and CENELEC as of 2005. There is a third one that's called the European Telecommunication Organization at the European level. And we may say that CEN is actually something like ISO at the international level, and CENELEC is the same as IC at the international level, just these are at the European levels. So I said this time next year we shall not unfortunately become millionaires, but hopefully our institute will become full member to CEN and CENELEC, like colleagues from Croatia already did, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago, because we are drafting all necessary documentation, and that very demanding process is ongoing, and I guess in the second half of 2016, our institute will become also a member of European Organizations for Standardization. That is why we shall be more open to our stakeholders. We could bring them more possibilities for them, for our experts to really participate in all European and international technical committees and other working bodies of these organizations. Since we are ISO in Serbia, these are just brief figures about ISO. As you can see, these are data from 2014, and as you can see, they have 165 national standards bodies, like, for example, ISS. Out of that number, 119 are member bodies, meaning full members. Then there are 42 correspondent members. For example, I know our colleagues from Montenegro are correspondent members. And 4 subscriber members, those are mainly very small countries, somewhere in Pacific or in that area. So they have 238 technical committees and subcommittees, etc., 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 and they have the database of 20,000, more than 20,000 international standards developed so far. This number is very important because I will show you in the next slide something very interesting as well. Three types of membership rights in international organizations. We are full members in all of these organizations, meaning that we can sell ISO and IEC standards, we can influence on developing policies, we can elect presidents and everything else, we can use copyrights, and also we have the obligation to protect copyrights of ISO standards as well. We can use logo without authorization and everything else. This is why ISO, and we say ISS is ISO and IC in Serbia. If you visit the site of ISO, you can see the information and main details about Serbia and our institute, and the number of technical committees and subcommittees we currently observe and follow. We follow and observe those technical committees and subcommittees that our stakeholders, which are engaged in our technical committees, our national technical committees, ask from us to do so. That's why our stakeholders should always reflect the needs, the real needs of our industry and society. So far, we follow 489 ISO TCs for our stakeholders, because, as I say, we are a public institution open to all our stakeholders in Serbia. I will just briefly go through this slide because it just tells us that there are two memberships in those technical committees in ISO and IEC. For example, P and O members. If you are really interested, if your industry or some sector is very interested and developed, if you have experts, if those experts have needs, and if they really want to participate in the development of international standards, to guide the development of those standards, then you obviously are P member of those technical committees. And if you just want to follow, if you want to be, in touch with what is happening with some international standards, then you choose O members. If you are full member, you can always switch from P to O member in one technical committee and subcommittee, of course. These are just briefly the stages of development of one international standard, and also these are the stages for us to vote on. If you are P member, you have to vote on all these stages. If you are not, you don't have any obligation to vote and to help in development of international standards at all. You just receive some documents, working documents of that committee, and sometimes if you want, you can, for example, submit your comments and everything else. As for voting results of ISS on ISO standards only, because of course we follow the IEC standards as well. In 2014, and this is among other things, this is my part of job. I am the so-called centralized balloter for ISO standards, so I know these figures by heart. We casted 386 votes on ISO standards. That means that we influenced the development of 386 ISO standards last year, and this year this number will be around 250, even more, let's say. Now, if anyone of you asks me how many standards do you have in your library, I will say around 50,000. 50,000 standards of different kinds. We have pure national standards developed by our experts. We have international and European standards, which are now Serbian standards, of course. But we have those 50,000 standards in different stages, in draft stages. For example, this is one, this is the, you see this, that's a draft international standard. So draft standards, published standards, and withdrawn standards as well. And if anyone needs a standard which is not currently in our library, we can always access to the databases of our partners worldwide, mainly ASTM from USA, BSI, that is a national standardization body from the Great Britain, then European CEN-CENELEC organizations, GOST, we have a cooperation agreement with the Russian national standardization body, DIN, these are, as you know, German standards, ISO, ETSI, and IC as well. At this slide, my colleagues just wanted to show you, for example, this ISO TC 115, just as an example dealing with pumps. And you know the scope of that. You can read from your from this slide. In that ISO TC, Serbia is O member, and according to Vienna Agreement concluded between ISO and CEN, that means international and European organizations, whenever there is international standards, Europeans do not develop that kind of standard again in order to avoid duplication of all standards. Then they just adopt international standards, and then these are ISO standards. Now, just 3 examples of our mirror committees, and I think that in all of 3 our committees, Professor Mario Todorovic is involved. Yeah, so we have mirror committees, meaning the exact committees like ISO committees at the international level. You know better than I do the meaning of all these terms here, because I'm not engineer. This slide was actually meant to be dedicated to those of you, if there are any of you representing the companies, that there are certain benefits from standards which most of us know, and also there are certain benefits from taking part in the standardization process. In Serbia, you can do that only by becoming a part of our institute. You can be a member of our assembly, and you have then certain discounts of the price of standards, of seminars and workshops we used to become to organize 4 or 5 years ago. And you can elect others and become elected into our managing bodies, managing board and supervisory board of ISS. And if you are a member of our national technical committees, which is our everyday objective, just to attract as many people, very intelligent and educated people, experts, professors from academia, from companies and everything else. If you become a member of our national technical committees, then I believe, and we all believe, that it is a very good reference for your professional career, and you can have access to working documents and international and European standards as well. You can also have discounts for seminars and workshops organized by ISS. You can be a lecturer at these workshops and seminars that we organize on a monthly basis, at least 2 or 3. And of course, I believe that it is very important when you are always surrounded by your fellow colleagues and you exchange information, you discuss about certain things, and you maybe quarrel about something, but it is always a good thing because you know what you are discussing about. That's why this message was supposed to be submitted to our representatives of the companies outside, become the significant part of your national standardization body. In this case, it is the Institute for Standardization of Serbia. Because we are a public institution, the founder is the government of the Republic of Serbia. That government pays annual membership fees for us to be and to maintain our full membership in international and hopefully next year in European organizations. And it is a pity if you do not take advantage of these money very well spent so far, but these will be very well spent if you join us and help us in our work. If you have any questions, you can of course visit our site and maybe write an email, and that's all. Thank you for your attention.